Open book, welcome, curious minds and midnight dreamers. You're about to enter a world where stories come alive and every word holds a secret. So grab a cozy seat, maybe a cup of tea, and let me take you on a journey you won't forget. This is story time like you've never heard before. Crescent moon. It was a night like any other, serene and still, when a simple toy left in an open window set off a chain of events that would forever alter the course of my existence. It feels absurd as the words escape my lips, reminiscent of a plot pulled straight from a low-quality novel. But that night, in that fleeting moment, I grasped for something, anything, to ignite the spark of feeling once more. All that I believed about myself, my marriage, and the very essence of what I deemed right began to unravel, slipping through my fingers like sand. Have you ever caught yourself engaging in a trivial act, something that appears innocuous, simply as a means to reclaim your breath? Was it not part of your design? Not out of a desire to inflict pain, but rather from the suffocating weight of unspoken words, as if you've been holding your breath for an eternity? It was I standing there, a figure shrouded in the shadows of my own making. It was just a fleeting glance, yet it held the weight of 1,000 unspoken words, a shared silence that lingered between two houses, a look that stretched into eternity. In an instant, I found myself teetering on the brink of an irrevocable choice. A neighbor, a mere shadow in the tapestry of my life. A husband who seemed like a ghost in my life, a fragment of my soul, long buried and forgotten, suddenly surged forth, clawing its way back into the light. As we embark on this journey, I must caution you that the tale ahead delves into some intense and mature themes. The story unfolds against the backdrop of new motherhood, where the protagonist grapples with the tumultuous challenges that arise. Tensions simmer within family relationships, and the shadow of infidelity looms, threatening to unravel the delicate fabric of their lives. Should these subjects stir unease within you, it may be wise to cease your listening now. Yet, if you remain, perhaps you grasp the truth that life seldom unfolds in neat lines. Humanity is far more chaotic than we care to acknowledge. In the shadows of our decisions, the echoes of our pain often speak louder than the whispers of our true desires. This tale is one that weighs heavily on my heart. This is a secret I intend to keep buried deep within me. Yet, no matter how deep it is hidden, the past remains unchanged. It does not alter the essence of who I have become, or what it demanded of me. It all began with my desperate quest to reclaim the sensation of being alive. At the age of 33, I stand on the precipice of life, where every moment is a tapestry woven with experiences and dreams yet to unfold. Bound by vows, in a secluded cul-de-sac, tranquility reigns supreme, where the most raucous sounds are the rhythmic splashes of sprinklers and the faint, far-off drone of a lawnmower, creating an atmosphere thick with stillness and anticipation. To the casual observer, it may seem as though I possess everything one could desire. The dwelling stood ominously, its silhouette cutting sharply against the twilight sky. The man who stood beside her, a figure of strength and mystery, the unwavering foundation. Yet, if someone dared to peer beyond the drawn curtains and the carefully crafted smiles exchanged at neighborhood barbecues, they would uncover a tale far more complex and haunting. A profound stillness enveloped the air. Across the vast expanse of a woman lost in the shadows of her own reflection, struggling to grasp the essence of who she once was. My name is Emma Carter, and there was a time when I could illuminate every room I stepped into. Once laughter erupted from me, a full-bodied symphony of joy. In the bustling aisles of the grocery store, I would flirt with reckless abandon, my laughter mingling with the clatter of shopping carts. Each playful glance and teasing whisper was a secret thrill, leaving a trace of my lipstick on his collar, a bold mark of our shared mischief. Once I was alive with feeling. At this very moment, now I awaken to the chill of empty sheets and the even deeper chill of profound silence. James, my husband, often slips away before dawn's light breaks the horizon. At times, the sound of the front door echoes through the stillness, long before the sun dares to rise above the rooftops. I linger in bed for a few precious moments, battling the urge to rise and face the day ahead. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the air, beckoning with its promise of warmth and comfort. The remnants of last night's feast linger ominously by the sink, a silent testament to the chaos that unfolded. The laundry lay in a restless heap, a mountain of fabric yearning for attention, each piece whispering stories of the day gone by. waiting to be folded and tucked away into the quiet corners of life. Yet, everything seems to lack a sense of urgency. Nothing ever does. James and I engage in conversation. Indeed, we do engage in dialogue. Yet our exchanges resemble mere status reports. Swift updates on work, urgent reminders about bills, and the ever-growing grocery lists that linger in the air. The depths have vanished, leaving only a hollow echo behind. There was no contact, not a single brush of skin. We lie on the same mattress, yet an ocean of distance separates us, always side by side, unyielding and steadfast. It feels like an eternity since his hand last intertwined with mine in the shadows. And I have fought with every ounce of my being. Oh, how I've struggled. I've donned the fragrance he once claimed to adore. He prepared his most cherished dishes, yearned to ignite a flame, to conjure forth a flicker of hope, a glimmer of possibility. Yet he only retreats deeper into the shadows. He utters, weariness lacing his voice. The weight of work has been suffocating, each day blending into the next, a relentless tide of pressure and demands. He craves the solace of rest. A flicker of doubt ignites within me, a whisper that perhaps he speaks the truth. A lingering question haunts me. When did I cease to be worth the struggle? At times I find myself at the kitchen table, a warm cup of coffee cradled in my hands, as I watch the steam dance and twist in the air. My mind drifts to the echoes of a time when we were untouched by the weight of life, a version of us that sparkled with possibility. Once we danced in the light of laughter. He would stealthily approach from behind, his hand suddenly gripping my waist as I stood at the sink, lost in the rhythm of washing dishes. We would linger into the night, lost in the glow of classic films, eventually succumbing to slumber on the couch, entwined in each other's warmth. One unforgettable night, we twirled barefoot in the kitchen, the aroma of boiling spaghetti filling the air as it threatened to spill over the edge of the pot. Silence enveloped the room. Only the echo of laughter and the rhythmic pulse of our hearts intertwined. Seems like an eternity has passed. Now every moment feels like a cog in a relentless machine. As if we've stepped onto a stage, cast in parts we never sought to play. Spouse. In the heart of a bustling city, two lives intertwined, sharing laughter, secrets, and the occasional clash of personalities. Each day unfolded like a new chapter, filled with unexpected twists and the thrill of discovery. What stories would their shared space hold? Phantoms linger in the shadows, and in that profound silence, a restless sensation began to stir within me. A nagging unease stirred within me, elusive and unidentifiable at first. Transcended mere physicality, the truth was it had never been about James at all. The story revolved around me. It was the beginning of my slow, silent descent into oblivion. It felt as though I was fading away, fragment by fragment. One fateful night, as darkness enveloped the world outside, James slipped into slumber without a single goodnight kiss. Alone in the stillness, I found myself lost in the endless scroll of the online realm. I wandered aimlessly, my mind a blank canvas, not seeking anything specific, but then in that moment I caught sight of it. This object, shrouded in mystery and intrigue. A small unassuming toy, enormous, fearless, utterly absurd, isn't it? Yet there was an undeniable pull, a whisper that resonated deep within me. It pulsed with the thrill of defiance. A solitary spark of rebellion flickered in a life consumed by the endless cycle of anticipation. With a decisive click, I placed the order. Without a hint of hesitation. A few days later, it arrived in a nondescript little box, shrouded in mystery. I concealed it deep within the shadows of my closet, buried beneath a mountain of forgotten sweaters. For a time, I allowed it to linger in silence. Unblemished, a flicker of realization ignited within me, a reminder that the power of choice still lingered in the shadows, waiting to be embraced. That I was still alive. And when I finally made the choice to embrace it, it transcended mere pleasure. Not at all. It was a battle to reclaim what had always belonged to me. A fierce struggle for something I had never truly lost. It was a burden I had been forced to carry. A shadow of shame that clung to me relentlessly. My longing. My vessel. My voice echoed through the silence, a haunting melody that lingered in the air. Trouble found me when I least expected it. Destruction was never my intention. All I longed for was to feel that I truly mattered once more. If you're still here, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more captivating tales like this one. Believe me, a vast world of secrets awaits discovery. Invisible lines weave through the fabric of our lives, boundaries we vow never to breach. In the recesses of our minds, moral boundaries emerge, some resounding with clarity, others whispering softly, each one a fence encircling a hidden garden of thoughts. Yet, the truth about fences is that they cannot contain the wildness that yearns to break free and flourish. They merely postpone it. A shadowy house looms behind ours, not exactly right next door. Yet, it was positioned at a distance that would allow the finer details to slip through your fingers, unless you were truly searching for them. It had always lingered in the background, a mere whisper in the chaos of my life, unnoticed and unremarkable. The house stood tall, a two-story white panel structure with a slanted roof, its presence softened by the neat little garden that sprawled invitingly in the back. A hidden gem, easily overlooked, waiting for a moment to draw your gaze and reveal its secrets. That something was Nathan Brooks, a force of nature lurking just beneath the surface. First, his name was a mystery to me. It was simply the fact that he was present. Silence enveloped the surroundings. Forever isolated. Some mornings as I stood by the window, the aroma of brewing coffee enveloping me, I would catch a glimpse of him in the garage. His sleeves were rolled up, revealing arms stained with grease, a wrench or drill gripped tightly in one hand, perhaps a steaming mug in the other, lost in his world of creation. He stood apart from the other men in the neighborhood, those who waved with excessive enthusiasm or lingered too long in conversations about lawn care. Reuben remained an enigma, shrouded in solitude. It remained grounded. There was no pretense. He towered above others, his sharp shoulders creating an imposing silhouette. There was a quiet intensity about him, a stillness that drew people in, making them acutely aware of his presence without them even realizing it. Strands of silver began to creep into his hair at the temples, hinting at the passage of time and the weight of untold stories. Not in a way that aged him, but rather in a manner that exuded a profound wisdom, shaped by the passage of time. And those eyes, they bore a weight, an enigmatic presence that eluded my understanding in that moment. What I came to understand later was the gnawing sensation of hunger, a reflection of your very essence. Our paths had crossed in fleeting moments, a brief exchange of greetings that lingered in the air. He offered a brief nod, a swift wave accompanying him as he wrestled the trash cans out into the open air. Empty echoes linger in the silence, nothing that could be followed. Yet, an undeniable pull compelled me to seek him out, not with an all-consuming fervor, suddenly aware. Whether his lights flickered to life in the darkness of night. He wondered if his truck sat idle in the driveway. In the backyard he toiled relentlessly, hammer in hand, his focus unwavering as he bent over an unseen project, sleeves rolled up past his elbows, lost in a world of his own making. It was on that fateful evening that everything shifted. James drifted into a deep slumber on the couch, the weight of another grueling day pulling him into the depths of his dreams. The TV buzzed softly in the background, while the air was thick with the lingering aroma of reheated leftovers, wrapping the house in a familiar yet haunting embrace. In the stillness of our bedroom, I perched upstairs, enveloped in silence, attuned to the rhythmic whispers of the house as it breathed around me. Compelled by an inexplicable force, I found myself drawn to the window. The darkness stretched before me, a vast expanse filled with secrets waiting to be uncovered. The blinds hung ajar, allowing slivers of light to spill into the room, weaving delicate shadows that danced across the floor. The backyard lay still, shrouded in a soft orange glow cast by the neighbor's porch light, as if holding its breath in the encroaching darkness. The faint glow from Reuben's window just beyond the fence pierced the darkness, casting an eerie light that beckoned curiosity. The silence enveloped everything, a heavy stillness that seemed to hold its breath. The silence enveloped everything, a heavy blanket of stillness that seemed to stretch endlessly, and I couldn't quite grasp what had taken hold of me. Perhaps it was the crushing weight of solitude. Perhaps it was a challenge, whispered in the depths of my own mind, a test to determine if I still possessed the courage within me. I approached the closet, my heart racing as I reached for something deeply personal, then settled by the window, the world outside fading into a blur. I convinced myself that I could slip through the cracks, unseen and unnoticed. All I craved was a solitary moment, a chance to delve deep within myself amidst the stillness of the room. In the beginning, it was solely about me, my fleeting moment in the spotlight. A A quiet uprising. My heartbeat pounded in my ears, a relentless drum urging me forward, but I pressed on undeterred. I was unable to do it. In that instant, an unsettling shift enveloped me, as if an unseen presence had materialized in the shadows. A flicker of light caught my eye from Ruben's window, casting a shadowy figure that lingered, as though he were observing from a distance, shrouded in mystery. In an instant, a wave of dread washed over me, sending my stomach plummeting. Every fiber of my being tightened with anticipation. I should have stood still, paralyzed by the weight of the moment. In that moment, I should have turned away, drawn the blinds tight, perhaps even dashed to the bathroom and slammed the door behind me. Yet I chose not to. I remained, and I pressed on, driven by an unyielding force within me. Shame had no place here, not in that fleeting instant. Just an overwhelming wave of heat. And the rush of adrenaline surged through her veins, and there was a profound yearning, a primal hunger that had been neglected for far too long. He stood his ground, unwavering. He stood resolute, unyielding in the face of it all. He stood there, silent and motionless, completely immersed in that moment with me. Silence enveloped the room, a heavy blanket of unspoken thoughts and emotions. The air crackled with tension, each heartbeat echoing like a drum in the stillness. In that moment, everything felt suspended, as if the world held its breath, waiting for something to break the quiet. Silence hung in the air, a stillness that felt almost palpable. It was just him and me, alone in the vast expanse of uncertainty, and all the unspoken words that lingered in the air between us. Shame should have washed over me like a cold wave, yet I chose not to. A surge of power coursed through me. In that moment, I sensed a profound connection, as if the very essence of my being was laid bare before another's gaze. After what seemed like an eternity, the moment had finally arrived. A surge of vitality coursed through me, awakening a sense of femininity I thought I had lost forever. It was not a ghost, not merely a housekeeper. She was not one to dance delicately around her husband's temperament, yet a figure of significance. In the heart of that shadowy, still night, separated only by glass and the vastness of space, I savored a sensation I hadn't experienced in years. Listen closely. Genuine, raw, and unwavering focus. It was utterly intoxicating. The following night arrived without a trace of doubt. Arrived with purpose. As James's car roared to life and rolled out of the driveway, the night loomed ahead, thick with anticipation for his overnight shift. The silence within our home transformed into something palpable, a heavy presence that lingered in the air. It wasn't the hollow void that I typically sank into. It was on high alert. The air thrummed with an electric energy, as if a hidden presence lurked just out of sight, poised to emerge at any moment. As if I were suspended in time, anticipation coursing through me. I navigated the evening, cloaked in the guise of normalcy. The clatter of dishes echoed in the kitchen, the laundry piled high like a mountain waiting to be conquered, and a quick shower promised a fleeting moment of refreshment amidst the chaos. As I crossed the threshold into our bedroom, the weight of reality settled in, and I no longer wore a mask. I plunged forward without hesitation or doubt. The blinds remained wide open, allowing the light to spill into the room. I stepped into the room, my heart racing, and pulled them wide open, unleashing whatever lay beyond. The night outside loomed with an impenetrable darkness. Yet again, the lights in Ruben's window flickered to life. A gentle amber glow enveloped the surroundings, casting a warm and inviting light. The same faint hum lingered in the air, echoing like a distant memory. The corner of his living room loomed into view from my vantage point, shrouded in an air of mystery, just enough to discern the delicate outline of his shadowy form. I lingered in that moment, allowing my breath to find its rhythm. I felt an unsettling calm wash over me. The moment had arrived and I was ready. I unearthed the toy from its familiar hiding place, a sense of nostalgia washing over me. Yet this time it was not a quest for reclamation. It was about seizing it, claiming it as your own. About bridging the vast chasm that separates us, silent yet profound. In the shadow of existence, the act of being seen unfolds like a delicate dance, each moment heavy with significance. The eyes of others pierce through the veil of solitude, igniting a fire within the soul, a yearning to be understood, to be acknowledged. It is in this shared gaze that stories intertwine, revealing the raw essence of our humanity. I perched by the window, allowing the soft, fading light to envelop me in its embrace. The time for concealment has passed. I surrendered to the silence that enveloped me. Every heartbeat resonated with the undeniable truth of my being. I leaned my head back, allowing it to sink into the stillness, yet my eyes stayed wide open, absorbing the world around me. Observing, suspense hung in the air, thick and palpable, as time stretched endlessly before me. And there he stood, a figure cloaked in shadows, waiting for the moment to reveal his true purpose. This time it was something more than just a shadow. This is an order. He lingered in that moment, completely exposed. He leaned slightly against the window frame, the world outside blurring into a distant memory. Silence hung in the air. Silence enveloped the surroundings. They are watching me. And I surrendered it all to him. It stirred a profound sense of emotion within, resonating deeply in the heart. Not inappropriate, not crude, unfiltered and unrefined. Heartbreak lingers in the air. It felt as though a piece of my very soul was stretching out into the void, yearning to be discovered. A fire ignited within me, something far deeper than mere desire. It was a profound sorrow that enveloped everything, a heavy shroud that darkened the light of day. The sorrow of a soul who had lingered in the shadows, unseen and unheard for an eternity. I crept forward, synchronizing my movements with the cadence of my breath. Every nerve ending in my body was alive, tingling with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. Every part of me that had lain dormant for months was stirring back to life. Then I sensed the first wave rising, a powerful force gathering momentum. I surrendered to it. I refused to silence my voice. And when it happened, I surrendered to it. There, in full view of the window, I let go of everything I had been holding inside. The weight of expectation hung heavy in the air. The relentless ache, the insatiable hunger. It began with a whisper, a quiet tension that crackled in the air. Then, as if unleashed by the fury of the heavens, it descended like a tempest. With trembling hands I tidied up, my cheeks burning, yet I felt no shame. This time it would be different. I cast my gaze toward his window, anticipation swirling in the air. He remained utterly still. His eyes remained unyielding, fixed and unwavering. Nor did I. Then I smiled, a small, quiet gesture, yet undeniably genuine. And for the first time in what seemed like an eternity, a surge of vitality coursed through me. His appearance caught me completely off guard. Not in the flesh, at least. Our lives never intertwined in the physical realm. It was the unspoken rule, wasn't it? As the knock echoed through the silence of the late morning, I felt a chill run down my spine, freezing me in place. James found himself immersed in the bustling atmosphere of the office, surrounded by the hum of activity and the flicker of computer screens. The house fell into a heavy silence once more. Surprise gripped me as I stood there, unprepared for the presence that suddenly filled the room. As I leaned closer to the peephole, my breath hitched in my throat. Reuben stood at the edge of the world, the air thick with anticipation. Shadows danced around him, whispering secrets of the past and beckoning him to step forward into the unknown. Each heartbeat echoed in his ears, a reminder that destiny awaited just beyond the horizon. Frozen in place, serene, laid back. In one hand a coffee thermos, its warmth radiating against the chill of the morning air. His other hand slipped into the depths of his hoodie pocket, a subtle gesture that hinted at secrets yet to unfold. I pushed the door open, striving to mask the turmoil within me with a calm facade. Yet, my body turned against me. Heat surged through my skin. My hands quivered with a subtle intensity. He felt the weight of her gaze upon him. With a smirk that seemed to hang in the air like a charged moment, he leaned in and said, "Hey, I think your curtain rod might have slipped last night. I witnessed some things that will haunt me forever." Silence enveloped me, a heavy shroud that stifled my voice. My lips parted, yet silence enveloped me like a thick fog. Not denial. No apologies offered. I remained frozen in place, blinking as if lost in a fog, struggling to recall the very essence of their identity. In that moment, a deep, resonant laughter erupted from within me. Brief, stunned. Perhaps a sense of unease lingered in the air. Yet there was no shame to be found. A palpable tension hung in the air between us, thick and electric, dense, weighty, yet it felt anything but awkward. The air crackled with tension, and I stood my ground. The door remained ajar, a silent invitation to the unknown. Instead, I leaned in slightly, my curiosity piqued, and whispered, "Coffee?" With a mischievous glint in his eye, He lifted the thermos high, a grin spreading across his face. I've already secured my own, and that was the moment it all began. We gathered around my kitchen table, the air thick with anticipation. The very spot where I often found myself in solitude. In that place I lost myself for hours, my gaze fixed on the void, consumed by the silence around me, cradling a cup of coffee that had long lost its warmth. Yet that morning held an air of change. Reuben had a way of drawing people in, his words flowing like a gentle stream, inviting conversation and connection. He refrained from probing too deeply. He carried himself with an air of quiet confidence, devoid of any smugness or arrogance. He remained silent, absorbing every word that hung in the air. He spoke only when his words held weight, when they could pierce the silence with meaning. And an unusual comfort enveloped us, as if the world around had faded away. It felt as though we had already stepped over the threshold, leaving behind the need for pretense. We delved into the secrets of the neighborhood. He reflected on the years that had slipped by since he first set foot in that place. It has been 2 long years, it seems. After the shattering end of his marriage, he found himself in a new place, seeking solace in the unfamiliar surroundings. He claimed to cherish the stillness. He claimed it provided him the solitude he needed to ponder, to begin anew. He rarely uttered a word about his ex-wife. It came to a gradual close, each moment stretching like a taut string, lingering in the air before finally fading away. With an icy demeanor, she no longer needed him, and he ceased his efforts. The silence, once it creeps into a house, clings to the walls like a haunting shadow, nearly impossible to dispel. Little was revealed about James. I had no reason to. The stillness that lingered between my words spoke volumes, revealing truths that no confession could ever capture. He confided in me that his days were often spent within the confines of his home office. In the world of fleeting opportunities, contract jobs emerge as both a beacon of hope and a labyrinth of uncertainty. Engaging in tangible experiences, crafting bespoke furniture, that unraveled the mystery of the garage. The fine particles of sawdust hung in the air, a ghostly reminder of the work that had just been done. Each grain seemed to whisper secrets of the wood it once belonged to, a testament to the transformation that had taken place. The scent of fresh timber lingered, evoking memories of creation and craftsmanship, as the world outside faded into a distant murmur. The never-ending projects. I revealed to him that I once taught the art of dance. It had been ages since I felt that way. I realized just how deeply I longed for it, more than I ever dared to confess. And laughter echoed around us, truly, far from courteous. Not the kind that you have to struggle to maintain a conversation with. We laughed until our shoulders melted away the weight of the world, until the suffocating grip on our hearts finally dissolved. His gaze locked onto mine, a spark igniting in the air between us, as if I held a significance he had never before acknowledged, as if I were not a mere shadow in the world. In that fleeting instant, the truth struck me with the force of a thunderclap. I had been utterly starved, my very soul craving what I had long denied. Not for intimacy, not for the sake of attention. Yet it was all for the sake of connection. A bond like that is perilous. With each heartbeat I sensed myself drawn closer to it. Each breath, a step into the unknown. It was more than a mere mark on the calendar. It was a turning point, a moment that would echo through time. The final thread unraveled, teetering on the brink of chaos. It was the day that marked the passage of time, a celebration of love and memories intertwined. 11 long years. 11 arduous years, filled with complexity and flaws. They may not have been flawless, but they belonged to us, brimming with an abundance of life. The first taste of independence, a small apartment filled with dreams and possibilities. Chains of obligation, the ritual of Sunday grocery runs beckons, a weekly pilgrimage to the bustling aisles filled with promise and possibility. Silent droplets cascaded down, each one a testament to unspoken sorrow. Lingering kisses beneath the twilight sky, where shadows dance in the driveway, and apologies forged through struggle. But this year he let it slip from his mind. No text, silence hung in the air, a stark absence of color and life. No flowers bloomed here, only the weight of desolation. Not even a whisper of a lazy, joyful anniversary or a fleeting goodbye. Silence enveloped the space, a void where sound dared not tread. An emptiness so profound, it echoed in the mind, leaving behind a haunting sense of anticipation. What lay beyond this stillness? What secrets lingered in the shadows waiting to be unveiled? The air thickened with unspoken possibilities, each heartbeat a reminder that something was about to break the silence. The morning light filtered through the curtains as I perched on the edge of the bed, lost in thought, the weight of the world pressing down on me. With the phone clutched tightly in hand, anticipation hung in the air, a palpable tension that seemed to stretch time itself. Everything. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, an unsettling silence lingered in the air, and still nothing arrived. I slipped into the bathroom, closed the door with a soft click, and let the tears flow, my palm pressed firmly against my mouth to stifle the sobs that threatened to escape. The pain whispered, a subtle yet insistent presence that lingered in the shadows. It lacked the thunderous impact one might expect. The air was thick with monotony, known and recognized. A sense of belonging lingers in the air. It felt like a bruise, tender and raw from being struck one too many times. I held my breath, silence enveloping me like a shroud. I swear I didn't shatter a single thing. I succumbed to the inevitable, silently, with precision, as I had done countless times in the past. He slipped through the door in the dead of night. The traffic was a chaotic nightmare. He avoided my gaze. I sat there, oblivious to the untouched plate before me, the food growing cold as my mind wandered elsewhere. He strode into the living room, flicked on the TV, and within moments succumbed to sleep, a half-full beer resting on the table, untouched and forgotten. Silence reigned, an unbroken stillness that hung heavy in the air, leaving no room for recognition or response. There was an absence of curiosity, there was an absence of warmth. A profound, resonant stillness enveloped the air, the kind that remains silent, yet its gaze pierces through you. In that moment, a silent realization washed over me, a deep, unsettling truth that echoed within. Something inside me had shattered irreparably. I held my breath, listening intently for the sound of his snoring. Once I was certain he lay still, I ascended the stairs, heart pounding with anticipation. I stepped into the darkness of the bedroom, the light switch untouched, as shadows enveloped me in a shroud of mystery. The blinds hung wide, revealing the world beyond. My reflection lingered in the glass, intertwined with the night sky, a haunting shadow of my true self. Without a moment's pause, I plunged forward. I yanked the toy from the depths of the drawer, its presence stirring memories long buried. This time there was no grand performance, no slow build-up to the inevitable. The air crackled with tension, and the moment hung heavy, ready to explode. The tension hung in the air, thick and palpable, but it wasn't about the drama. It was all about the ache. About releasing a torrent that had been trapped within me for far too long. I perched by the window, gazing into the abyss of darkness, as the silence enveloped me, clinging to my skin like a shroud. I crept forward, each breath and movement laden with significance, as if the very air around me held its breath in anticipation. Silence hung in the air, heavy and expectant. No bursts of color illuminated the night sky. Only darkness remained. No excitement. A yearning so profound it felt like a wound, raw and aching. Once more I laid eyes on him. Reuben stood at the edge of the world, the horizon stretching endlessly before him, a canvas of possibilities waiting to be explored. The air crackled with anticipation, and every heartbeat echoed with the promise of adventure. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of destiny on his shoulders, ready to step into the unknown. This time, stepping into the fray, no longer a mere observer. This time the journey begins. His silhouette vanished from the window, and just as I hastily drew my robe tighter around me, the sound pierced the silence. A sudden knock echoed through the silence. Not at the entrance. On the back one, a gentle three-tap knock echoed, so soft it could easily be mistaken for the whispering wind. Yet deep down I was aware. I lingered at the top of the stairs, paralyzed, my hand clutching the railing as if it were my only lifeline. My heart raced, but not from fear. It was unlike anything else. A relic from a time long past. A sound that echoed through the corridors of my memory, stirring emotions long buried and forgotten. I crept forward, my bare feet whispering against the ground beneath me. With a deep breath, she pushed the door open, the creak echoing in the silence that lay beyond. And there he stood, a figure cloaked in shadows. Silence enveloped him, a heavy shroud that spoke volumes without a single word escaping his lips. He was under no obligation to do so. His gaze locked onto me, a mix of familiarity and fascination, as if I were a cherished secret he couldn't help but revisit, no matter how well he knew it. A hunger surged within me, unrelenting and bold, yet it lingered just long enough for the distance between us to dissolve of its own accord. And I moved aside, feeling the weight of the moment shift around me. We took our time. He strode in with an air of familiarity, as if the very walls whispered secrets only he could hear, despite never having crossed the threshold before. Silently, I guided him up the stairs, each step heavy with unspoken words. She moved quietly, careful not to disturb James, her heart racing as she glanced back, uncertain if he had awakened. With determination in every step, they pressed forward, leaving the past behind. As we entered my bedroom, I lingered by the window, the air heavy with the remnants of what I had just abandoned. The darkness lingered, heavy and oppressive. The moonlight unfurled across the floor, smooth and shimmering like fine silk, casting an enchanting glow that beckoned the shadows to dance. His gaze locked onto mine, not merely at my body but deep into my very essence. Each curve tells a story, each scar whispers a secret. Every fragment of my being, long concealed beneath the weight of years filled with monotony and bitterness. He held his gaze unwavering. He advanced, closing the distance between them. Unhurried, proceed with caution. As his fingers brushed against my skin, a wave of electricity coursed through me, threatening to unravel my very being. Not from fear or guilt, but from the jarring surprise of feeling that touch once more. Softly, as if I were a treasure cherished and rare. As if I held significance, silence enveloped us, a heavy shroud that lingered in the air, binding our thoughts and emotions in an unspoken pact. His hands danced with purpose, a silent promise of what was to come, yet devoid of hostility. His breath brushed against my ear, a warm whisper that sent shivers down my spine. And when he finally found his voice, it lacked the strength one might expect. The silence enveloped the surroundings, thick and palpable. Nearly sacred, the mask can finally come off. In that moment, everything shattered within me. Tears cascaded down my cheeks, unstoppable and raw. Uncertainty washed over me as tears streamed down my face, their origin a mystery I couldn't unravel. Him and me, James, the passage of years, the weight of silence. Everything, yet he pressed on undeterred. His lips brushed against mine, lingering with the weight of unspoken inquiry. And as I remained still, he kissed me again, deeper this time, as if it were the only answer that mattered. Confusion gripped me, a tempest of emotions swirling within. I stood there, caught between the urge to weep and the instinct to unleash a primal scream. I craved the sensation of existence, a pulse of reality coursing through my veins. Under the cloak of darkness, we forged a bond that felt both fragile and profound, soft yet burdened by sorrow. I bared my soul not out of a dwindling love for James, but from a deep yearning to experience the warmth of being cherished once more. His touch ignited every corner of the void that had lingered far too long, awakening a longing that had been buried deep within. For the first time in years, I found myself unraveling, no longer holding the fragile threads of my composure. I was releasing my grip, and it shattered me. The first light of dawn crept into my consciousness, pulling me from the depths of sleep. The air in the room was frigid, wrapping around everything like a chilling embrace. The sheets beside me lay cold and untouched, a haunting reminder of the absence that filled the room. The doorway stood empty, his shoes mysteriously vanished into the shadows. The air was thick with the scent of night, mingling with the sharp tang of sweat, and an enveloping silence that wrapped around everything. He had not lingered. I stirred awake, the chill of the morning air creeping in as I cocooned myself in the warmth of the blanket, fixated on the very spot where his body had just lain. A fleeting moment washed over me, a whisper of doubt that perhaps it had all been a figment of my imagination. But then I cast my gaze down at the pillow, still radiating the warmth of his presence. And in that moment, I felt the undeniable truth wash over me. With each step down the stairs, my legs trembled beneath me, a fragile facade threatening to crumble at any moment. James stood alone in the kitchen, the air thick with anticipation. Clad in the same attire from the night before, a lingering trace of yesterday's chaos clung to them. Teetering on the edge of slumber, pouring coffee, the world around her faded, as if time itself had come to a standstill. He looked up, a weary smile flickering across his face, as if it were a well-rehearsed performance. As dawn broke, the world stirred awake. I struggled to find the words to reply. I truly did. Yet the word lodged itself deep within my throat, refusing to escape. I filled my cup with steaming coffee, the rich aroma swirling around me. She sat across from him at the table, the tension thick in the air, each heartbeat echoing like a drum in the silence that enveloped them. The very table where Ruben and I had shared our secrets just days before. My gaze locked onto my husband, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within me. He remained, a haunting presence in the shadows. Oblivious to the unfolding reality, my gaze faltered, unable to meet his eyes. Not driven by guilt. Yet, deep down, a part of me had already sensed that our story had reached its end. It lingered in the air, unspoken and heavy, waiting for the moment to break free. The days that followed blurred the line between reality and a haunting dream. I wandered through the motions, inhaling the air, feeling the pulse of existence. Yet I was merely a shadow of life itself. It felt as if my body possessed an instinct to push forward, an unyielding force driving me onward. Yet my mind and soul lingered in a distant realm, struggling to bridge the chasm of understanding. The piercing sound of the alarm clock would jolt me awake, pulling me from the depths of slumber. Rise from the depths of slumber. I poured coffee into a mug that held no appeal for me. Fix your gaze on the clock hanging ominously on the wall. And yet it felt as though time had come to a standstill. It felt as though I was witnessing a shadow of myself, moving through the motions of my life on autopilot, detached and distant. As the true essence of who I am lingered behind a transparent barrier, thundering fists against the door, desperate to be allowed back inside. My mind was a whirlwind, unable to latch onto a single thought. Whispers danced around me, a cacophony of voices blending into an indistinct murmur. Appointments slipped from my mind like sand through fingers, meals turned to charred remnants in the oven, and I often found myself frozen in the center of rooms, bewildered, questioning the very purpose of my presence there. Yet, far more haunting than the forgetfulness was the relentless grip of memory. Memories crashed over her like relentless tides. They arrived without warning, a force of nature, relentless and unforgiving. His face haunted me in the darkness behind my eyelids. Listen closely, for his voice echoes in the stillness. The cold side of the bed bears the heavy silence of his absence, a palpable void that lingers in the air. And then, like a bolt from the blue, the message arrived. It was a mere whisper, just a single line that held the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. Last night was no mere accident. Yet I shall honor your silence. That was the moment. There was no remorse to weigh her down. There's no weight bearing down on you. There were no demands, only the raw, unfiltered truth. Enveloped in a grace that left me breathless and uncertain, I found myself at a crossroads, unsure of the path ahead. I pored over it repeatedly, as if it were a confession I had yet to deserve, each word pulling me deeper into its secrets. Silence enveloped my thoughts as I chose not to respond. I chose not to erase it either. It remained there, a shard of glass embedded in my side, silent yet piercing, a presence that demanded my attention and refused to be overlooked. James sensed the shift within me. Without a doubt, he did. He could see everything. He noticed the way I averted my gaze, the instinctive flinch as I recoiled from his casual touch. Yet, he remained silent, refraining from probing further. He held his silence, refraining from probing or casting blame. He withdrew further into himself, retreating like a shadow, as men often do when the weight of exhaustion becomes too heavy to bear. Perhaps he believed it was merely another fleeting moment of my unpredictable emotions. Perhaps he was indifferent, too consumed by his own world to seek the truth that lay just beyond his reach. Or perhaps, just perhaps, he had known all along. Yet he found himself unable to bear the weight of those words spoken aloud. The silence between us deepened, becoming an almost palpable force, echoing the unspoken words that hung heavy in the air. At last I shattered. Not caught in the throes of a monumental collapse,